And I want to say a special word about testing because it is so important. And as I've said for weeks and weeks, this is the way through. This is how we will unlock the coronavirus puzzle. This is how we will defeat it.
This is to the Prime Minister. Just get a grip of the testing crisis. And please stop allowing your colleagues to put out the line, we're working really hard. This is our number one priority. Prime Minister, clearly it's gone wrong. I wouldn't want to be doing it either. This is a mammoth task. But continually telling us that we're working hard, it's our number one priority, we're ramping up, is not good enough. We deserve to know, Prime Minister, why it has gone wrong.
If you smell what the
Kank
is cooking.
Evening, it's Thursday the 2nd of April 2020. My name is Kank, also known as the Kank, and this is your COVID-19 Daily Update. It's going to be a slightly longer update than usual because the Health Secretary Matt Hancock on his first day back was the one that was delivering the briefing today. So there was quite a lot of things that has come out of this briefing as of today. As you saw at the beginning of my video, the headlines have not read very well for the government today. Massive issues around testing. Prime Minister Boris Johnson gave an address yesterday via video where he was talking about the fact that the plan is to ramp up testing. And as you see in the newspaper headlines that were published today, a lot of people have taken great issue with the fact that there has been a significant lack of testing. Now, when I made this before the Health Secretary had spoken, the figure was at 2,500 NHS frontline staff that had been tested. It's now gone up to 5,000. So I just want to make that very, very clear. As ever, I'll start off with the figures that were delivered this afternoon in the briefing. So, firstly, sadly, 569 people have died since yesterday as a result of the coronavirus pandemic here in the UK. 2,921 deaths altogether since the pandemic started here in the UK. I want to also just use this opportunity because, as many of you know, I'm a member of a group called Dope Black Dads, and sadly, one of our members, his father, has passed away as well from COVID-19, and I just want to use this opportunity to send love, peace and prayers to his family, and we've got your back, and if you need anything from us, please just shout us. But I just wanted to kind of acknowledge that as well. Now, Health Secretary Matt Hancock has been speaking extensively, and for the first time in over a week, I would say this has probably been the most detailed briefing that we've received from a government minister, so that was welcomed. And some of the things that he has outlined is as follows. So I'm going to refer to some of my notes I've made. So £300 million is going to be made available to community pharmacies. Hasn't said exactly how that's going to be spent, but £300 million is being made available to the community pharmacies. £13.4 billion of NHS historic debt as of today has now been wiped off. So that means that any debt that NHS had no longer needs to be paid back, and the whole idea around that is to ensure that the NHS is on a better footing to be able to deliver frontline services during this pandemic crisis that we're having. Matt Hancock has set out a 5-pillar strategy that he is looking to deploy. Now, the whole idea behind this is to try and get as many people tested as possible and kind of working across a number of frameworks. So they're looking to do more swab testing in labs. They're looking to work with commercial partners such as Amazon and Boots to create more testing kits and testing environments to be able to do that. But the biggest thing that came out of this press conference was the fact that Health Secretary Matt Hancock has said by the end of April, the plan is to have 100,000 tests done per day. 100,000 tests for COVID-19 to be done per day by the end of April. This is the promise that Matt Hancock has given to the nation, and this is what he's looking to deliver on. Now, I'll go into opinion mode again, as I did yesterday, but there's been issues because Prime Minister Boris Johnson, only a couple of weeks ago, said the plan was by this point we would have had 250,000 tests done per day. As of Tuesday, we only managed to get to the 10,000 tests per day target. Today's the 2nd of April. April has 30 days. So let's discount the fact that we're coming towards the end of the day now. So in essence, the Health Secretary is saying in 27 days' time, they are planning to ramp up testing to 10 times the level that it is at this point in time. Now, forgive me for what I'm about to say, but I'm not convinced. The government have clearly failed in how they've handled this situation. We've got the best scientists that are available, and yes, I know they're working with the best levels of advice, but it's clear that we don't have the capabilities to create the test, which has been admitted by the government themselves, and a lot more needs to be done. Now, I think it's great, and I will be the first one on the 1st of May, if the government manage to hit their target, I will come on to this and say, you know what, I hold my hands up, I was wrong and you were right. But I'm not convinced that they're going to be able to achieve this target. To ramp it up 10 times in 27 days' time, when they've made it quite clear that they don't have the capabilities at the moment, and although they are developing it, it's not being worked on as quickly as it possibly can be, I'm not convinced. The Health Secretary has said that the reason for the testing and the way that it's working at the moment is that they are doing it in this following order. So the first priority goes to patients who have been admitted into hospital. Second priority goes to NHS staff and families. Third will then go to critical key workers. And then fourthly, it will then be looking to roll it out into people that are working in the community. So that's the reason why there's been a low amount of NHS frontline staff that's been tested. But there's also the issue of we don't have enough tests anyway to be able to test people. So the government have set itself a target now, and people have been clamouring for the government to come out with a clear plan and a clear strategy around this. Matt Hancock has said this is the plan, this is what he's going to do. There's the 5-pillar strategy that they're looking to deploy. They want to have 100,000 tests done by the end of this month. Now, we are going to be watching, and I pray that they do hit this target, because I think we are reaching a point where, people, we are complying with the guidance and people are working well within the restrictions that we have. But if this continues and people feel like there's no progress, you're going to see a lot more criticism that is coming out. Now, I've criticised the government, and people don't necessarily agree with what I have to say. But for me, as a citizen, it's about trying to hold the government to account for what they're promising and what they're delivering. So as I've said, 100,000 tests per day. The challenge has been set by Health Secretary Matt Hancock. I promise you, on the 1st of May, if that target has not been hit, I will come up and I will say, you know what? I will continue to hold this government to account. I will continue to do that anyway. If they do hit that target, I will come up and say, you know what? I said on the 2nd of April that the government weren't going to do this. They've proved me wrong. I'm glad that they've proved me wrong. But the key is that we need to continue to work together, and we need to continue to ensure that hopefully the government are able to deliver on the promises that they are making. Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening to my COVID-19 daily update. Remember, in these important times, we need to stay at home. We need to look after ourselves, look after our own well-being. And as the UK government have said, stay at home, protect the NHS, save lives. And that's the bottom line, because the Kank said so.